Okay, let's go for it. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining the group. Thanks for being here. Thanks for wanting to know all about what it is that you're already got yourself in for, or what you're potentially getting yourself in for. It's always a good place to start, right? So first thing I want to do is I want to go through loads of people joining in, sorry. Alright, so I want to go through this. Okay, so the first thing you're going to have to do is make some time. And it doesn't have to be huge amounts of time. This can be a short 20 minutes a day, it could be 10 minutes a day. Whatever amount of time you put into this is going to cumulatively add up over a longer time period. So if you do 10 minutes a day and you do that 7 days a week, you're already at 70 minutes. Alright, how long does the average sports massage last? 60 minutes. You've already gone over and above what the average sports massage would last in 1 week of doing 10 minutes a day. Alright, that's really simple, really easy to figure out, and that cumulative amount of time is going to allow you to learn more about yourself and about your body and about where your body is struggling with the issues in your tissues, the tightnesses, the tautnesses, okay? So it's all going to add up to time, okay? Second one here, make a plan. You've got to have a little plan, and that plan involves making time. So make a plan, whether it's going to be 10 minutes a day, whether it's going to be 20 minutes a day, whatever it's going to be. It doesn't have to be overkill. It doesn't have to be an hour, okay? So I want to take that amount of time that you have to commit to this to being, this huge amount of time. I want to take that out of your mind. You can commit that amount of time if you wish to, but you don't have to, okay? The third one, prioritize your time. We're all probably thinking, I don't have time. Please make sure your microphones are switched off, guys. Thank you. We're all probably thinking that, we don't have time, but the truth is we probably more than likely do have 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes every other day or whatever. Not every day is going to be the same for most of us, all right? Don't rush. Take a deep breath. In fact, take lots of deep breaths. Don't rush. You don't have to know everything. Okay, I always hear of these roadblocks to getting started or sticking with it is, I need to know all of it. Well, you don't. You don't need to know all of it. You've got the ebook there in front of you. You've got the Facebook group there to help you. You've got me there to help you. You've got other people there to help you all the time. Okay, so you don't have to know it all. Okay, and on the same way that when you started your first day of school or your first day of university, you didn't get given all of the material on day one and then get a test at the end of day one. You got 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to learn it all. You don't even have to learn all this. You just have to experience it and go through it. Okay? Ask for help. Just talked about that one. You can ask for help anytime on the Facebook group. Okay? That's what it's for. It's for you to ask for help. I can't help you if I don't know that you need help. So ask for that help. Okay? Take a class. So back in September last year, September, October, November and December I think it was, I did 10 classes online and I recorded them all, and they're all for sale on the Sling Method website. You can buy one class, you can buy all 10 classes, you can buy 1, 2, 3, you can buy them individually. They're $15 a class, or the whole 10 pack is $109. Okay, so that's another way that you can support your kind of growth, your learning, your time commitment. So if you're struggling with anything, you could take one of those classes. Okay. It is not a race, all right? Your rehab, your MFR, your training is not a race. So don't take it as a race. Go back to don't rush, all right? Kind of sits in with that one. Don't rush through it. Do it. Do it. The most important part of all of it is do it, all right? Even if it is just 10 minutes a day, just do it. Just do it. Just pick up your bands, pick up a handle and start doing it. It's as easy as that. Okay, so if you don't do anything, you won't get anything. If you do something, you'll get something. If you do more, you'll get more. Okay? Do something daily, like I just said, 10 minutes a day. Alright? Simple as that. Little bits will stop you from being overwhelmed. So go back to this feeling of, oh, I have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. You just do a little bit a day and you'll get these light bulb moments going off, that you'll get these connections going in your head, and you'll learn from every little bit that you do. Alright? So that's that one out of the way. Now we get to the next one. What is stopping you? So if you've been here for 6 months, 12 months, a year, whatever, longer. Some people have been here 3 years and still haven't done anything. So what's stopping you? Is it time? We just talked about that one. 10 to 20 minutes a day. Is it space? Your living room. I work with people one-on-one in their homes, and I work with people in very small spaces. My studio here is about probably 80 square feet. Doesn't need to be a huge amount of space. Alright? Motivation. Well, that comes from your goal. If you have a goal, therefore you have a plan, that's your motivation. Alright? I know I'm making this sound really simple. It is that simple. It is that simple. You just got to get with it. Anchor points. Now, I wanted to bring in... What did I put them? Oh, yeah. I wanted to bring in this. This is a door anchor. So if you put this into your door, and every one of my 5 band sets comes with one of these. Okay, this goes into the door, you close your door onto it, and then you clip your bands or loop your bands through this loop, and that becomes your anchor point. Now you only need one anchor point to do pretty much everything that we have in the Runners Rehab and the Basic Gait. There are some exercises where there are 2 anchor points, but you don't have to have 2 anchor points. If you only have one anchor point, you can do everything but in a slightly modified way. Okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. So, next one. Don't know what to do. I hear this a lot. I don't know what to do. Watch a video. There's a ton of videos there. Alright, I've done all of those videos. You just click on a video that's in chapter 5, and we'll be talking about that in a second. Chapter 5 is where you want to go to start with. So the first thing you want to do when you get the book, go straight to chapter 5. Now you can choose to read chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 if you want to, but the doing stuff starts in chapter 5. Okay, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. Watch videos, ask questions, take classes, one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. You only live in the day, can't live in tomorrow or the next day, so just live in today and watch a video each time. Alright? There's loads of those videos there. The last one there is one-to-one coaching. Alright? That's something that I offer personally to local people here where I live and also online. I work with runners in, 12 different countries now. So I do this all the time, every day. That is available to anybody and everybody. Alright? Okay. Quick flick now to this one. This is the big one. Okay, this is the big one. I'm going to move that over a little bit. It looks really confusing, but we're going to run through it. Okay? I'm going to do screenshots of all of these, and I'm going to post them into the group. So, how to get started. This is what you all came for. Alright? Chapter 5. Just go straight to chapter 5. Gait analysis. That's our assessment. Okay, can everybody see that okay? Yeah? We do the gait analysis. That is your assessment. Now in chapter 5, there's a small section there on gait analysis. So that's where you do your 3 videos from, or 2 videos even, from the rear and the side. Now those are your 2 main videos that you need to do, from the rear and from the side. And from there you'll get probably 99% of the information that you need about your gait. Okay? If you can get a front view as well, fabulous. What the front view does is it just really confirms what we've seen in the rear view. There's a couple of little extra things that we can see in the front view, but don't worry too much about it. If you can't get the front view, which I know some people struggle with, because either their treadmill's like butted up against the wall or something, then just do the rear and the side. You're going to get all the information, pretty much all the information you need. Okay? When you've done your videos, make sure you follow the gait analysis instructions, and the main ones there, make sure you wear tight-fitting clothing, or at least have t-shirts that are not baggy, so that we can see what the pelvis is doing. Make sure the lighting's good, and make sure the angles are dead straight on from either the rear, side or front. Okay. Pretty much everything else. Oh, and slow motion. Pretty much everything else is in that video, in the post that I've done on gait analysis. That's in the private group in the featured tab. Okay, and if anybody needs any help with this, just post in the group and I can answer those questions. All right. So then, when you've done your gait analysis, if you don't want to post your video, that's okay. You can just simply get started with the Runners Rehab MFR. All right. If you want to post your gait analysis videos, then I can help to guide you a little bit more with that gait analysis, with that assessment. Okay. If you don't want to post your video, that's okay. You can do your own analysis, and then you can just get started with the MFR. 2 to 3 weeks of MFR is what you want to do initially. Now what this is for is to calm stuff down, to calm you down, and to calm your nervous system down. Okay? Most of us are stressed out. Life is stressful. There's a lot of things going on. We're stressed out. We need to breathe. We need to take time. We need to relax. And that is what the MFR is all about. Okay, we're taking time just to breathe. And we do that throughout MFR. So if you've got a tennis ball or a baseball stuck in your glute, breathe. Okay, oxygenate your body. Allow your nervous system to just chill and get down. Okay? 2 to 3 weeks, go through all of the MFR videos. Go through all of them. Okay, don't miss any. Go through all of them. And if you're doing, let's say 10 minutes a day, I've got 15 to 20 there, but let's say you're doing 10 minutes a day. You're going to get each body part in those videos done throughout 3 weeks. So in the course of 3 weeks, you're going to hit every single body part. Maybe even twice if you can commit a little bit more time. Okay? You need to make notes on that. Okay, so when you're MFR in your glute and you're going, oh God, that hurts. Yeah, I know exactly how that feels because I've done it. Okay, so I know what you're going through. The more you breathe out, the more you get to the bottom of your breath, the less discomfort, the less uncomfortable it's going to be, the less discomfort you're going to be in, the more you're going to chill your nervous system out, and the more your body is going to be okay with digging that ball into your glute, or your quad, or your hamstring, or your abdominals, your obliques, whatever it is, okay? Breathe. Get to the bottom of your breath, and try and hang out at the bottom. If you think about how much breath you've got, we can take this big breath, it's quite stressful, it tenses me up. Or I can go to the bottom of my breath, and I can stay at the bottom of my breath range. What I don't want to do when I'm MFRing is go, crap, that hurts. I don't want to do that. I want to stay in the bottom quarter of my breath. Okay? Big tip there, right? When you've made your notes, you continue on those sore spots. All right? You continue on those sore spots. So the ones that are feeling like it's, crap, that hurts, those are the ones you want to carry on and carry on and carry on until they die down. Okay? This is your time when you are becoming your own best massage therapist, your own best sports therapist, and you're learning about your body. All right? You reassess on a monthly basis. I'm just giving you an idea. It doesn't have to be every month, it could be every 6 weeks. So you've gone through all of these areas, you've made your notes, and you said, yeah, my right glute, my right CFL is something that needs some work. All right? And you kind of focus on it a little bit, and then in maybe a month's time or whatever, you go back to doing all the videos again, and you assess the ones that weren't uncomfortable before. Because chances are you probably missed some spots. You're not going to get all spots all the time. So go back and reassess the ones that don't feel or didn't feel uncomfortable initially, because things change. Remember, everything is connected, and as we make a change in one place, we also get a change in another place. I hope that makes sense. All right? So you do some MFR, you make your notes, you go, oh yeah, I've got to focus on this spot, and then every maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we go back and we reassess the places that maybe initially didn't feel that bad, because things change. Okay? initial 2 to 3 weeks, probably more like 3 weeks, we go to the Runners Rehab exercises 1 to 4. And we do exercises 1 to 4. And then after a couple of weeks of doing exercises 1 to 4, we add in Runners Rehab exercises 5 to 8. Alright? So over the course of 8 days, you're going to get all 8 exercises done in the Runners Rehab. Alright? So at this point, your time commitment might go up a little bit, it might go down a little bit, because initially this 10 to 20 minutes or whatever it was a day is assessing your body, and you might not need that much MFR. You might not. You probably will, but you might not. So your time commitment might go up a little bit, but it also, once you've made your notes and said, well, I don't need to MFR my hamstring, for example, well, you've just knocked that video out of your collection of videos that you're going to follow and the MFR that you're going to do, and it gives you time for these, right? Now, if you do your initial assessment and you do your gait analysis and you're vertical when you run, you're pretty vertical, you might not need to do that much of exercise 6 and 8 in the Runners Rehab, because those are all about getting your posture vertical, getting your body more vertical, getting your head back. So when you do your gait analysis and you view it from the side, and you say, oh, well, actually, my head is in line with my shoulders, I'm not leaning forwards when I run, you might not need to do exercises 6 and 8 in the Runners Rehab. Okay? So time commitment goes down. Okay? Now, after a couple of weeks of doing those, you can start to bring in the basic 8 exercises as well, and that's chapter 6. Okay, so all of this is chapter 5, then we go to chapter 6. And again, your time commitment might go up a little bit, it might go down a little bit. But if you're someone who's injured, you have time, right? Because you're not putting in 6, 10, 12-mile runs every day. So you have time. Okay, so you can do this because you've got time. Right? Now, the basic 8 exercise 1, you can do every single day, everywhere you go, as long as you're standing up. That exercise is simply standing in a staggered stance, and you're pushing the ground away, and then pulling it together. You can do that standing in line at the checkout when you're buying your groceries. You can do it when you're putting fuel in your car. You can do it if you're standing at your desk, because I know a lot of you will probably have standing desks, right? You can do this anytime, anywhere, any place. I do it everywhere, all the time. When I'm standing working with my one-to-one clients, I am doing that the whole time. I don't stand with my feet side by side like this. I stand with my feet in staggered stance, I bend my knees, I go through my checklist, and I push the ground away, then I pull it together, then I push it away. I'm constantly doing that. So you can bring this into your everyday life, everywhere, all the time. Okay? Pretty cool. So, the key exercises. Obviously, you can do this all day, every day, anywhere, everywhere. But your key exercises in the basic 8 is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Those are your key exercises. Now, I know some of you who only have one anchor point are going to go, oh, but the rusty bolt needs 2 anchor points. You can do half and half. You can do the pushing part of the rusty bolt, and then you can do the pulling part of the rusty bolt. It doesn't have to be both together. So if you only have one anchor point, you can do both. You can do one and then the other. So you can still get both done, right? Yeah? So, the bonus exercises, 7 and 8. So if you don't have time, if you're time strapped, because I know a lot of us are, right? And I've already taken up a lot of time with these, but these are the key ones, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Bonus exercises 7 and 8. Don't worry about them unless you've got time. Okay? Don't worry about them unless you've got time. Then you've got your checklist, which I'm going to go through. It's on this one behind me, and I'm going to do another screenshot of this one, just behind me right here. Make sure you go through that checklist. Okay, just learn. You don't have to learn it. You can just write it down. You could print it off. You could screenshot it on your phone, whatever. But that is really important. Okay, you'll have seen me posting in the private group. Checklist, checklist, checklist. Right? that is like the part of it. That's the bit that when you do it and you feel that your weight is on your back leg, everything changes, because we're so used to pitching our bodies forwards. Like half of you sitting in front of your screens right now, you've probably migrated forwards. Yeah, get back. Yeah, I know, I can see you all changing your cameras now, right? Get back. It's what we do, right? We're visual people, we're visual beings, so we, oh yeah, this is really interesting, I'm coming forwards, and then all of a sudden, whoa, I've got to get myself back, right? Well, running is about being upright and projecting ourselves forwards. That's what the checklist is all about. Now, the most important part of the checklist, and if any of you are taking notes, where is my weight? That is the most important part of the checklist. And if that's all you remember, you've got about 70% of it down. Where is my weight? 4 words. On the back foot. That's where your weight has got to be. Okay? That's where your weight has to be, on the back foot. Alright, and I'm going to run through that checklist really quickly in a second. Now, how do you arrange your week? Oh, sorry, one more thing, running drills. End of chapter 6. I know a lot of people never get to the end of chapter 6 because they either stop reading or whatever. Do 2 of those running drills before you run. And I'll show you one of them now. I'll show you a really easy one to do now. Okay? If you want to stand up, you can join in. All you're going to do is that. Okay? It's like a run. It's like you're running, isn't it? Okay? Now, if you want to take it the next step, every time you lift this leg up, the other leg goes to tiptoes. Right? Speed it up. You're getting everything that happens when you run. Just in that movement. Okay? No need to do lunges, squats, sideways stuff. You've got everything you need in that movement right there. Because you're creating all of the levers, all of the lever actions of running. Right? You're getting the hip up. You're getting this hip up. You're getting rotation. You're getting the heel up. You're getting all of those really important running levers. Okay? Okay. How to plan your week. This is something I talked about in the private group maybe a couple of months ago. I said if you could pick 3 exercises, which ones would they be? Keep it that simple, right? Just pick 3 exercises. So, Monday, I do Runners Rehab exercises 1 to 4, and the basic 8 1 to 4, and I MFR my upper body. Right? Simple. On Tuesday, I run, and I do running drills. And then I MFR my abs, my obliques, and my glutes. Just keep it simple. On Wednesday, I do Runners Rehab exercises 5 to 8, plus the basic 8 exercises 5 to 8, and then I MFR my legs. Right? Really quick, really simple, maybe 20 minutes. You can just run through them. And if you're time strapped, just do exercises 2, 3, and 4. Keep it really simple. The key is to get something done, right? Because if you don't do anything, then you're not doing anything. If you get something done, at least you're doing something, all right? And then we go Thursday, run and running drills with some MFR to the upper body again, and we're just repeating the cycle. And then on the last day, the MFR is anything else that's needed or anything that needs more attention. So you're just going to commit a little bit more time on that 7th day to something that needs a bit more attention. Alright? And that's how simple it can be. Just that, with a little plan there of exercises 1 to 4, 1 to 4, and then some MFR. Alright? That's about as simple of a plan as it could possibly get, where you're covering everything. If you've done your gait analysis, then you can narrow things down a little bit more. Right? So where we say MFR the upper body, and you say, well, my pecs don't really need any MFR. Okay, great. What about your lats? What about your obliques? Alright, so we could do lats, obliques, and we could foam roll the back a little bit more. Alright? okay? Or here, MFR my legs. Well, if my hamstrings don't need much MFR, then I can really focus on the upper quads, for example. Right? So you can play around with everything. You're really learning about your body and what your body needs. All right? This kind of just gives everybody a plan to just, forgive the pun, to just run with. Right? If you've got a plan, then you can adapt the plan for you. All right? And that is pretty much it, apart from the checklist. Now I'm gonna run through this. I'm gonna just drop my camera down a little bit and see if I can drop that down. There we go. Hopefully it's not gonna give me the view I need. I'm gonna drop this down a little bit more. I'm gonna put this down here. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about this. Because I think if you can see this, it's going to give you everything you need. Yeah. So, I know you can't see what I'm going to show you here. Let me see if I can flip that up a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Now, you might not be able to read that because I've got my lights on in here. So, the checklist. I'll screenshot this and I'll put this into the group. Okay. Natural stride length and 3-finger width. Okay, so this is how you want to be set up for anything that's in a staggered stance. So, rusty bolt, for example. Okay, you have this natural walking stride. That's my natural walking stride. And then my 3-finger width is like that. So it's a very narrow grip. It's a very narrow stance. Yeah, can you see that okay? I think you can. It's very narrow. That is our hip width. Out here is not hip width. And we don't run like this. Right? We want to be able to contract all of our muscles to get our feet to this position when we run. Because that is the line that we run on. Okay? So, 3-finger width, natural stride length. It's really quite a short stride. Alright? Second one, back heel is up. So you can see I have my back heel up off the ground. See that back heel? And I internally rotate my back leg. So I'm turning my back leg slightly inwards. Okay? I'm turning that back leg slightly inwards. I'm not trying to do this. That's not what I'm trying to do. Okay? All I'm doing is just turning it a few degrees. Okay? Knees slightly bent, 60% of my weight to the back leg. So I have my knees slightly bent, I put my weight to my back leg. Now the better I get at this, the more weight I can put back, and I can almost get that front leg off the ground. Woo! I'm not going to, but that shows me how good balance and how good control I have through my toes and my feet, and also through my adductors. Right? Pretty good control there, yeah? Pelvic neutral. Most people present with this anterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis is tipped forwards. What I want to do is neutralize that. I don't want to drive my pelvis forwards. I want to identify my pelvis and then neutralize the tilt. So think of a bowl of water. If I tip it forwards, the water's going to fall out the front. If I tip it backwards, the water's going to fall out the back. I want the water staying in the bowl. So what I'm going to do is just tip my pelvis to the neutral position. Okay? Head over shoulders, over back leg, over the ball of the foot. So, where is my weight? That's this one. Head, over shoulders, over pelvis, over back leg. Then I do my movements. Then I do my rusty bolt. Then I do my step and press. Everything comes from this position. Okay? Pelvis never rotates with the torso. Think of a pepper mill. When you grind pepper, you turn one bit as you turn the other bit the other way. Now, if you can't, you're not trying to turn the pelvis lots, you're just trying to keep it still and turn the top bit. Think of how you run. You'll be turning your torso when you run. Your pelvis will do the opposite. It has to, and it should. We want to make that happen. So when you're doing your exercises, when you turn your torso to the left or anti-clockwise, your pelvis should stay centered or a couple of degrees in the opposite direction. Just a couple of degrees is more than enough. If you can keep it still, perfect. Okay? Now this is the cue for this. I only rotate my torso to the side as long as my pelvis doesn't join it for the ride. And what that means is, my limitation to how much I can rotate my torso is how much I can rotate my torso without my pelvis going with it. So if you watch this, if I turn my pelvis with my torso, I haven't rotated my torso. If I turn my pelvis with my torso, everything goes in the same direction. Yeah? Okay? Now, if I turn my torso and my pelvis stays, I've now rotated my spine. Right? It's a bit like this. If I grab my phone and my water bottle, if I turn my phone and my water bottle together, nothing is rotated except for my knees. And I don't want that. If I turn one and I turn the other in the opposite direction, I get this pelvis, torso, I get decoupling between the two. It's called decoupling. Okay, so I get this peppermill action. Okay? And you'll get that. The more you focus on this checklist, you'll get that. But people have asked before, well, how much do I rotate my torso? Only rotate your torso to the side as long as the pelvis doesn't join for the ride. Okay? So you can rotate this as much as you want as long as this pelvis doesn't join it. Okay? Make sense? Remember, I'm going to post all of this and this video, because I managed to get it recorded, into the group. Okay? So you don't have to remember all of this. Just being aware of it is a great place to be. Okay? Alright. That's my talk time done. And you guys have been so patient and so good. I love it. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sure you probably do. So, I can't see everybody, but do you guys have a chat box? Do you have a chat function? Yeah? Okay. If you want to ask any questions, type them into the chat, and then what I can do is I can call your name out and you can unmute your mic and then you can ask your question if you want to. Or I can just do it from the chat. It's up to you. Alright, so if you have questions... Okay, Becky, you don't have to unmute for this one. What is MFR? Good question. Alright, so I'm assuming you don't have the ebook. I'm assuming you haven't bought the Runners Rehab and the Basic Gait. MFR is myofascial release. Now if you think about, if you went for a sports massage and your sports massage therapist was pressing onto a body part, so let's say they were pressing onto your upper quad area, all right, let's just say they were doing that, or they were pressing into your calf. And when you feel that, oh, that hurts, what they'll probably do is they'll hold pressure onto that spot, and they'll get you to breathe outward, get to the bottom of your breath so it relaxes your nervous system, it stops you from tensing. And then what they might do is they might press there for say 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, probably longer. You probably don't realize how long they're pressing on there for. And then they'll pull on the skin and on the superficial layers. So they'll press in, they'll hold pressure, and then they'll pull, and then they'll push, and then they'll pull. What they're doing there is they're trying to get in and influence the upper outer layers of the fascia. There's different layers of fascia that go through all of your body. And that fascia is where we hold, we have lots of nerves. It's literally just nerve dense. So when those nerves are kind of heightened to stress and strain, it can stress the entire body. It can stress the entire fascial line. It can just stress the local area. And what our goal is to firstly desensitize that area, and then to get the change in the fascia. Now, some fascia doesn't respond because it's so thick. Like, for example, the plantar fascia, the IT band, for example, they don't change. We can't press on them and change them. We can still press on them and affect the nerves, but we can't press on it and change it. But the superficial fascia is very thin. If you think of the fascia in your nose, that's very thin, and we can kind of manipulate that a little bit to change, to respond to a external stressor. Because when we're pulling on it, it's an external stressor. And it responds. Fascia responds to load, and it responds to stress. And it thickens where there's lots of stress or lots of load. And it then also can respond to changes in pressure, and we can help to change areas of high stress. And also areas of low stress, we can redistribute that load. So the first step is the myofascial release, and then the second step is changing the load, which is what we do with the Runners Rehab exercises, and the basic Gait exercises as well. Alright. I saw another question and I can't see where it's gone. Oh, hold on. Matthew, did you ask a question? I think Matthew asked a question. It came up on my screen.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you gave examples of how to balance a week as a runner, but what about for those multi-sport athletes out there who are trying to fit in swimming and cycling maybe as well?
Good question. So again, you're going to have to prioritize what your time is going to be, where you're going to put some of that effort that you're going to put in. That's a hard question to answer because it's very individual for each person, right? I mean, you know, trying to fit in 3 sports is hard as it is, right? Trying to fit in 1 sport sometimes is hard as it is. What I would do there is I would follow something that's at first is quite generic, like the plan I gave on that written out screen. And then I would kind of favour certain areas over others that, you know, you'll need more of. Like a cyclist, for example, is going to probably have ridiculous stress in the vastus lateralis and in the upper quad area. You're going to need to open your hips out more because you spend so much time on a bike. But the good thing about being a triathlete is that you spread load. All right. So if you're a swimmer, of course, you're going to be doing these cross patterns a lot more than somebody who's just a cyclist. So you're going to have load spreading much more than somebody who's pure cyclist. So I would, I'd be going back to the Runners Rehab assessment, the Gait analysis, and then assessing where you need according to your Gait analysis, and I can help you a little bit with that in the private group as well. But it's going to be more about opening up your hips. So TFL, glute medius, lateralis, upper quad area, those hip flexors, the adductors, anything that doesn't get a full range of motion, lower hamstring areas, back of the knee, probably upper calves, it's going to need quite a lot of work. Right? Obliques, probably going to need quite a lot of work. Yeah.
So how do you balance that with you know, training on a bike as well? Sorry, follow-up question.
Yeah, good question. Small changes are probably going to happen rather than big changes. It's going to take more time, right? Because you're doing things that are kind of going against opening up the hips. So this you know, think about that cycling movement. It's a very closed up movement. You're not getting to full range of motion. You're not getting to hip extension. You know, these are movements that as runners we really need. So I think for a triathlete, just the time overall time frame that you're going to get those results is going to just be generally slower because you're still doing things that are closing up the hips, closing up the knee, putting you into this protracted position on the bike, right? Putting you into hip extension, putting you into spinal flexion in the lumbar area quite a lot. These are going to be things that are going to probably just take a little bit more time. But I would still focus on the same things like I just said, opening up the hips, opening up the lower hamstring area, the upper calf area. It's just going to be a little bit longer process, I would say. I hope that makes sense. I missed who the other question was from. So please, if you don't mind, just unmute yourself and say your name and fire away.
Was that Julian Stevenson was next?
Amy? Okay, Julia. Okay, we'll come to Julia next. So Amy, go for it.
Okay, so do you suggest myofascial release for the end of the day versus exercise? At the end of the day and exercises or running in the morning to kind of separate them, or is it okay to do it right before, say, a run? Because I usually have a lot of soreness already when I woke up, like this morning. I didn't want to add any more stress to my hip flexor, for example.
Right.
So I decided to do some, myofascial release.
Right.
But then after that, I don't know whether I should run right away or should I do some more activations or warm up. I'm just really afraid to get hurt again, and I'm already sore and hurt. Right.
I don't want to say that this time is better than this time for doing MFR because, obviously we all have different time available to us. So really the best time for you to MFR is when you have time to MFR. For me, I do my MFR at the end of my day when my body is the most relaxed. That is when I feel like I get the most out of my MFR because my body's relaxed, I'm winding down, so I'm less stressed. I would say that if you have a couple of areas that are specifically need focus and need work with MFR, do a little bit before a run, a couple of minutes maybe. Anything like 30 seconds-ish is not going to do the down regulation of the nervous system. 30 seconds of MFR is probably going to up-regulate it. It's probably going to make it more wired. It's probably going to make it work because it's going to fire it up. You want to just down it a little bit. So a couple of minutes of MFR, but more than that might be too much because it might start to, it might start to hurt a little bit, right? So there might be a sweet spot there. I would say probably 2 to 3 minutes on an area and then go and run. Do a couple of drills, do a couple of running drills, and then go and run. All right? For me, my MFR is always at the end of the day, but don't let that stop you from doing it whenever you have time. Okay? Don't let that be something that stops you from doing your MFR. Right? Paul says it's got to be done at the end of the day. No, I said that's what I do because that's what fits my day best. Yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoy doing those, especially foam rolling. So then I'll end up actually spending a long time on it. But then I realized it made my muscles are just not in a good shape to actually put in a workout or training anymore.
Right.
So that's why I asked the question.
Okay, so that's a great question. That's something that I forgot to talk about earlier on. Don't hyper-focus on MFR. Remember, when we do the Runners Rehab exercises and we do the basic Gait exercises, we're changing the stress to the fascia. Okay? MFR is brilliant. Runners Rehab exercises, the basic Gait exercises are brilliant. Both together is even better. Okay? A little bit of this and a little bit of this serves to change that balance and that bias. Because remember, fascia adapts to stress. We need to unstress and then re-stress. Yeah? And that's good stress, not, oh no, I'm stressed out. Right? It's good stress. It's exercise stress. It's lines of stress that are going through the fascial chains. Does that make sense? So if all we ever do is MFR, we never retension the system to get the stress away from that area that you've been doing all the MFR. Yeah? Okay, cool. Juliet Stevenson, go for it. Hi. I can't hear you. Is your mic on? Let me see if I can. I can't hear you. It's not coming through. I think maybe your mic settings might be... Try unmuting yourself again. Okay, you're definitely off mute. I think your microphone settings might be going to something else.
Can you see the question, Paul? Because I'll read it out if you can't.
Yeah, go for it, Ed. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it says, MFR, how many are there? And if I'm starting from scratch, then should I just do a different one each day for the first 2-3 weeks? Will I get through them all that way?
MFR so in the first 2 to 3 weeks, if you're doing 10 to 20 minutes a day, you're going to get through every video in there. Yeah. What was the next?
Is that all right, Juliet? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, go through those videos. If you know what, if you need to take that MFR time frame, 2 to 3 weeks, if you need to take it out another week just to get through all the videos, do it. Do it, because that's learning for you, right? You're learning about yourself. What I say is experience of what I've worked with myself and other people. I'm just bringing all that in for you to kind of help you as much as I can. But you need to experience your body, right? That's really the key. So if you need to push that time out for another week, do it. Please do it. Get through all of those videos, okay? Because remember, everything is connected, okay? So that could be one of the things that you might be missing. Everything is connected, all right? But again, don't hyper-focus. Don't make it 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 4, on and on and on and on and on, and never bring the exercises in, okay? Because all you're doing then is just rubbing stuff, right? You're never re-stressing, moving stress within your body, okay? Does that make sense? Because what you'll do is, when you do the Runners Rehab exercises and the basic Gait exercises, you'll learn from those exercises what part of your body says, oh God, I'm restricted in that movement. Because if I'm trying to turn my leg in with the back leg, if I'm trying to turn my back leg in, if I'm trying to rotate my torso and I have restrictions to that movement, you're going to feel that the next day, or maybe even at the time of doing it, you're gonna think, oh, that feels really restricted there. Yeah. So you're going to feel that, and then that will give you information to then go back and do more MFR or focus on places for MFR. Yeah? Cool. I hope that answers that question. And if I didn't answer fully a question, please ask it in the private group, all right? Because I'm just trying to get through everybody's questions. So if I miss a little bit out, ask it in the private group and then we can go through it there, all right? Any more questions? If you do, please unmute your mic, say your name and go for it. Nobody?
Hi, this is Chris. I was just wondering about using tools like a Theragun or a Hypervolt.
Great question. I'm not against any massage guns. I don't put them into the Runners Rehab and the Basic Gait strictly because some people may not be able to afford them. That's the only reason why I haven't added them in. The main reason that I don't use them a lot is because they're very aggressive. You can't get deep into the deeper layers, and you most likely won't get a muscle to relax very well by smashing the crap out of it. Alright? You will get a muscle and get the nervous system to relax when you are pressing onto it with a tool and just letting your weight press onto a tool and letting that tool sink in. That's how you get things to relax. But trying to pummel it like a piece of steak is not going to get into the deeper layers. It might help the superficial layers, but it definitely won't get any depth to it. And if you did get deep enough, you would probably cause trauma to the superficial layers. MFR is about working with your nervous system, not smashing the crap out of it, all right? Not trying to abuse it, because that trauma is definitely not going to be a good thing. Now, there's a couple of things that I will say on that. Feet. Getting into the bottom of your feet with a Theragun or a Hypervolt, or even just a no-brand massage gun. Kind of fun, and it's kind of cool, and it kind of works really well, right? Yes, I like that. There's one other place that I actually like, and that is down the front of my shins, very gently. Okay, very gently, not hard. And I like to use, in the bottom of my feet, I don't have one with me, I like to use the very kind of thin tool. It's almost like a bullet, but not quite as aggressive, as sharp as that. It's like a blunt bullet. That one is actually okay. And then for the shins, I like to use the foam head, the ball that's like a piece of foam. But that is about it. That is about all I will use a massage gun for, because it's just very aggressive. And we're trying to chill out the nervous system, to de-stress it, to breathe. And those guns are quite aggressive. All right?
Yeah. Hi, Paul. When you're MFRing, and obviously some parts of the body you have to do separately, as in there is a definitive left to right, but when there's things, say like, so if you're using a foam roller and your hamstrings, you can sit on it in one go, or your abs, and you can lay on it in one go. Yep. Do you still need to be doing left and right then, or can you be doing it together?
Great question. So abdominals is just one line straight up and down, your rectus abdominis. You can use your fingers into the top. You could use a Theracane. Oh, Chris, I didn't mention about Theracane. Did you ask about Theracane, or was it Theragun? I can't remember. Anyway, we'll talk about that now. You can use a Theracane pretty much into anywhere. Fingers you can use into the upper abdominal area where the ribs are. Get in there. Nasty. If you've done 1 billion crunches like I did in my life, probably going to be quite restricted there, which is going to affect how well you can breathe. Okay? So yeah, laying on a soccer ball, football, something like that, a basketball for your abs is quite a good one. Maybe slightly deflated. Foam roller might do it, might not. You'll have to see how that works. Did you say hamstrings?
Yeah, as in rather than just putting all your weight on one leg, just putting both of them together and raising up, as in not doing it one at a time, just doing it together.
There's going to be certain areas where when you try and put your body weight onto it, it just doesn't work very well. So with the hamstrings, let me show you something quickly. What you can do is a couple of little tools that I've got that I'm going to be showing in the new update. Something like a piece of wood with a ball on top of it. Alright, if you put that onto a chair, you can get the hamstrings into it quite nicely. Alright, can you see that? Yeah. I can get that in there really nicely. Okay, that works really well. You can also do that on your roller. So if you're getting into the lower hamstrings, you can put that onto the roller, and you can get into the lower hamstring area with that ball on the roller. It doesn't have to be on a roller, it can just be on a piece of wood, a raised piece of wood. And then you can just let the weight of your legs sink. But doing that with both hamstrings at the same time, it's not going to work that well, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Alright?
Cool.
MFR, last thing about MFR, the smaller the tool, the more pressure it's going to give you in a smaller space, in a smaller space of, a smaller surface area. That's it. My brain's going now. So a bigger tool is not going to give you as much focal pressure as a little tool. Okay? A squishy tool is going to squish. A harder tool is going to make it so that it will probably hurt a little bit more, and you might not be able to relax onto it as easily. So there's different tools for different reasons, different areas of the body, and different size tools with different or the same hardness is going to get into different areas better. So for me, my lower back, for example, in my QLs and all of that lumbar fascia around there, I do a lot with a tennis ball actually, believe it or not. I do a lot with a tennis ball. And then I sometimes grab my lacrosse ball, sometimes I don't even bother. But getting into the obliques and the lower back, the QLs, the lumbar fascia, time with a tennis ball for me works really well. Alright, so with all of this stuff, it's experimentation for you. Alright, I'm giving you a plan and some tools and ideas, and then you guys play around with it and find what works, right? And the more you say, oh my God, I found this really cool way of doing something, and then you share it with the 965 people in the group, and then it sparks off an idea in somebody else's brain, and they come, oh my God, I had this light bulb moment, and then it plays on everybody's minds a little bit, and then everybody becomes the hive mind to be able to have different ideas. One quick last thing with MFR. I should have brought my Theracane in here with me, and I forgot. There's a video for the obliques and the QLs, I think it is, where I have the Theracane and then the band, the red loop band, wrapped around me. And I'm just getting the band around the Theracane, and I'm just kind of holding it there. And the band is doing all the work. It's pulling the Theracane into my obliques. For me, I love that because I can just do nothing apart from just holding it in space. Right? The less I do to support and hold my body up during MFR, the more I can relax. Right? Remember, MFR is about how much you can relax, how great you can relax. Right? And get to the bottom of your breathing. Oh, crap. And the meeting ended just like that.